All right, the much anticipated Star Wars Visions was officially released on Disney Plus this week. For those of you who don't know, Disney hired a bunch of anime studios to make a whole bunch of anime stories based on Star Wars, and it's kind of fun. So let's go through my spoiler-free review. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Yeah, so I watched all of these last night, and some of them obviously are better than others, but overall, it's very interesting to see, like a different take on Star Wars. Now, Japanese culture and anime and stuff really lent itself to it because, for those of you who don't know, Star Wars was originally based on a Japanese movie. Yeah, it's actually it's a remake of a samurai film, so it fits really well. Was it the Holy Mountain? I forget it, but it's something of a mountain. I know that much. Names are not my thing. The point is, it's a remake of a Japanese film, so it fits really well in that world. And so it's interesting to see what these Japanese creators could do. I was very excited about it. I like the results for most of them. So overall, again, this is going to be spoiler free. I'm just going to give you my thoughts on them. I'm going to give you like a brief preview of what each episode is, and I'm going to rank them. And I'm going to mention some cool things of each one, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Well, depends on if you think it's cool or not. But overall, it's watchable. It's fun. It's short. Most of them, the shortest one is 13 minutes. The longest one is 22. Usually, they're somewhere in between there. Overall, it's 9. So it's pretty good. I think there's going to be another season because most of these stories left the world kind of open for other opportunities. So I'm very much looking forward to this. I really liked what Disney did here, what Star Wars did here, and it's really good to see them exploit a universe that has a lot of potential, and I mean a lot of potential. But before we get into that, let me just give you a quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario SDW and at Super Dario World, streaming on YouTube and on Twitch eventually. Again, I'm figuring that out. My schedule, I'm still figuring it out, but it will happen. I'll be back to doing live streams again. This is probably pre-recorded. Well, this is pre-recorded technically, but there you go. So let's get into this whole thing. So like I said, Star Wars Vision is basically a series of shorts, 9 in total, and Disney hired a different anime studio to do different. I think Trigger did 2 of them. But they hired a bunch of different studios or artists to make a short based on the Star Wars universe. Like I said, some of them worked really, really well. Others, not so much, or at least in my humble opinion. So let's just go through them very quickly, and then I'm going to rank them. So here you go. The first one is called The Duel. Now, The Duel is basically old school Japanese film. Like, it feels almost like a Western, but samurai movies and Westerns are pretty similar. Basically, a Ronin. Imagine, okay, there's a town gets attacked by bandits, and a Ronin defends the town. Ronin, it's a samurai warrior without a master. That's what they're called. What they're known as Ronins. Anyway, but with lightsabers. So obviously, very cool. Next, we have Tatooine Rhapsody, which is basically a band in outer space. I don't want to go too deep into it, but let's just say a Padawan on the run joins a band. So I think that's a easy way to put it. Next, we have the twins. Basically, 2 Sith twins want to do something kind of evil, and one decides to go against the other. Episode 4 is The Village Bride. Kind of similar to episode 1, except kind of different. A group of bandits wants to take over a planet, and a girl sacrifices herself so that the town will be spared, pretty much. That's short version of it. And let's say a Jedi on the run shows up and wants to decide whether she will intervene or not. Next, we have the Ninth Jedi. Somebody wants to restart the Jedi Order, and shenanigans ensue, I guess. That's how can I say it without spoiling? The adventures of the daughter of a lightsaber smith while they're trying to reinstate the Jedi Order, I guess. It seems fair enough, I guess. Fair enough. Next, we have TOB1, or Toby. Basically, man makes a robot, and he trains him to be a Jedi. And there you go. Episode, what is this, 7? We have the Elder, Jedi Master and his Padawan learner face off against a dark, evil, elderly man. Next, we have Lope and Ocho. How can I explain this one? This one's like the furry one. I have no idea why there was a humanoid rabbit here, but there was. Basically, a father and a daughter adopt a rabbit into their family, a humanoid rabbit into their family, and then due to the Empire's intervention on their planet, their family gets torn apart. There you go. Short version there. And finally, Aka Kiri, which is a Jedi returns to a planet hoping to help a former love, and they encounter problems, let's say temptations and stuff like that. So there you go. That's the kind of the summary of each one. Like I said, some of these very good, some of them very bad, and I mean very bad. And so I'll just get it out of the way pretty easily. To me, the worst one, I'm gonna rank them. So the worst one to the best one, my least favorite to my most favorite. By far the worst, and I mean easily the worst, is Tatooine Rhapsody. Terrible, disgustingly bad. Hated every second of it. It's the least Star Wars of all of them, and they just the story's stupid. All right, here's the thing: the dude's trying to be a part of a band, but the music sucks, so you can't really get me interested in something that's supposed to have like a band when the music sucks. So the music sucks, the main character's too annoying, and it really doesn't feel at all Star Wars. Like, characters from Star Wars show up, like Boba Fett's in there, but not really used properly. I also hated the animation style. They look kind of like little kids. I didn't like it. Hated it. Totally terrible. Hated it. Next, this would be the worst one. Next, number 8 for me would be Akakiri. Akakiri, the premise had a lot of potential, like, the Jedi who's in love with somebody, the temptation. There's a lot there. They've done that with Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Clone Wars. They did it with Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. There's potential there. I thought it was wasted, and I thought it was too slow and stupid, and I did not like the animation style. So that one would be number 8. Easy number 8 for me. Let's see, number 7, I have, I don't want to click the wrong one. It's this one, Toby. So T0B1. It's funny because when you were watching it, the scientist guy, you're looking at it like, oh, that looks exactly like Dr. Light, like Professor Light, Dr. Light, I don't know, from Mega Man. And then they show you TOB1, and you're like, that's fucking Mega Man. This is straight up plagiarism. So it's basically Mega Man, but in the Star Wars universe. It has its charm. The animation style, again, it's kind of childish, but it has its charm. It's okay. It's not, I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just okay. It's okay. The other ones were bad. This one is okay. So we're entering the okay territory. Next, let me see. I got my list here. I probably should have it. Nope, let me just move this so it's easier for me to see and I don't have to be clicking around. Okay, so number 6, I have, let's see, Lop and Ocho. This one is actually kind of a long one, but it feels rushed. It feels like this, they tried to push the story too fast, and it's weird. Again, it's one of the longer ones. So I think it's in the 20-minute range, and you feel like there's a lot missing. They needed to build up a few things a little bit more. I don't know why the main character is a rabbit or a hare. I don't know. It really was completely unnecessary, but all right, fine. It wasn't bad, but we're entering the okay territory. And so that's why it's low. I know it's low, but it just wasn't really that special. That's number 6. Number 5 is the one that probably has the most batshit crazy fight. And that's like, they just really did not give a fuck whatsoever. And that's the twins. They just went completely just wild. They the fight's just, you know what? We don't give a fuck. We're just going to do this. We're just going to go over the top. Fuck it. Nothing's gonna make sense. In kind of a good way sometimes. So it's the wildest fight. I'll give it to him. The premise is fine. The animation is fine. I think it's Studio. I think that one's Studio Trigger, which they're known for just not giving a fuck. But I would have liked a little bit more, something a little bit different. But it was fine. It was fine. It was fun. Fun. a little bit too crazy, a little bit too over the top, but fine. Next, we have in number 4, let me see if I got this right, The Village Bride. Now, I like this one because this one's a slow burn. It's very slow, but what's happening in this particular world is interesting. The characters around are interesting. It's a slow burn. It's a slow build up. I wish there would have been a bit more of a payoff at the end. Just personal preference, because I think what this one lacked was a villain, like a big villain, like a big badass. But you could see that this is kind of like a setup story. This is where the hero decides who they want to be, and it's a test. It's a test on the hero and what's the next stage of their life. So it's a setup story. It's fine for a setup story. It's fine for, you know, like a tutorial. When you're playing a video game, you're going through the tutorial. It's fine for that. But overall, very good. Like I said, I liked it. The ones that are really bad are 9 and 8. Well, they're not. 9's really bad. 8's bad. The other 3 are fine. This one, we're entering in the good arena. In fact, the twins, I would say it's in the good arena. Next, let's move on to number 3. Number 3, we have, let me make sure I get the right one here, The Elder. Now, The Elder is, I thought it was fantastic. Like, the main character here is super cool. Like, the way that they made him look is really good. His design's really cool. And the villain is really creepy. You know, the old man that's got powers. Very creepy. I like that the fight is very, let's say, cerebral in a way. It's very grounded. I think it's probably the most grounded fight that we have in this whole thing. So that's fun. If you're a fan of that, I really enjoyed it. And it's funny because as you're watching it, you're like, hey, this kind of feels like we're watching Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan. Now, clearly the Padawan is not on Obi-Wan's level, but it's still like, oh yeah, I see the relationship there. It's kind of fun. It's kind of like an enjoyable thing. So actually, this could have been an Obi-Wan Qui-Gon Jinn adventure. So like I said, I enjoyed it. It's top 3, but this one and the other 3 and the other previous 3, the other 2, I mean, the Village Bride and the twins, you could interchange those, but still, I really enjoyed this one, and because the fight is really good at the end, and there's a build up. It's fun. I have an issue with it, but I'm not doing spoilers here. Anyway, number 2, and that's the reason why actually it dropped, by the way. Number 2, we have The Duel. Now, The Duel, I'm not a big fan of the animation style. It's black and white with certain things in color, and it's kind of like it's a weird animation style. I'm not a big fan of it. You get used to it. It was clearly, it's an homage to the old samurai movies. Clearly an homage, and I understand it, but also fuck you. You can do it in color. You can. Japan's a beautiful place. You can show us in color. It would be a nice thing to see. Anyway, so the fight here is fantastic. The villain is very, very creepy. If you see the blades that the villain has here, it's like an umbrella lightsaber. It's fantastic. It's very clever. It's a cerebral fight. It's not just a straight up fight. It's really good. It has a few twists and turns. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. This one and could have been number 1. Except the only reason why this wasn't number 1 is because I'm not a big fan of the style, and I really like that was mainly the tiebreaker between what I thought was number 1 and this one. So very good. It's a great way for them to start the series, because this is the first episode, and you're like, oh shit, this is really good. Like, congratulations, Japan. In 13 minutes, you just did the best thing with Star Wars that anybody's ever done before. So really good on you guys. I'm probably exaggerating, but there you go. Next, finally, number 1, or at least what I thought was the best one, is, let me see if I got the right one. I hope it's this one and this one. Yes. The Ninth Jedi. I like this one because, first off, the main character, I thought she was really cool. The story has a few twists and turns. You don't know who to trust. You don't know what's happening. This is probably the longest one. And they're setting up a very interesting world. So first off, you completely understand what's happening, because I think this is the first one where they actually do an intro. Like, they tell you what's happening, where, who's doing it. The other ones, it's just like, no, we're just showing you what's happening and you have to figure it out. This one, they set the stage a little bit, so you actually are immersed a little bit in the world, but at the moment that the story starts. And the way that they're building stuff up, you're like, man, I want to see more. Like, if this were a TV show, I want to stay there. I want to keep watching it, because there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of interesting characters. The world itself seems very interesting. I'm not sure. Is this before the movies? Is this really after the movies? Because the Jedi Order doesn't exist anymore. So how far into the future are we, or how deep into the past we are? Like I said, the characters, they're fun. They added a fun little gimmick that I really enjoyed. And at first I was like, this is not canon. But then I'm like, maybe this could be canon. And the thing that they added here is that whoever that I think should become canon is when you grab a lightsaber. If you have strong in the Force or whatever, the blade takes on the color that best represents, let's say, your soul. So if, let's say, you're a Sith, you grab it, it's gonna glow red. But if you're good, you're one of the good guys, it'll glow green or blue or whatever. And so I thought that's an interesting little, or it won't have any color if you're not clearly ready or capable enough for the Force to wield the lightsaber. So I thought that was a fun little gimmick that they could introduce. And the reason why I could justify it in my head, it's all right. So doing mental gymnastics to justify how is it that other lightsabers could do this and this lightsabers could do this and others couldn't. The reason how I would justify it is that here we see supposedly the technique for developing lightsabers has been lost. And here is the first sabersmith in a really, really long time. And so maybe that guy implemented that into the new lightsabers. That's the only way I could explain it. I know it usually has to do with the color of the crystals, but maybe he figured out a way. Who knows? Anyway, so those would be that's the way I would have ranked it. So again, very quickly, the worst one is Tatooine Rhapsody by far. Like that's episode 2. It just sucks. It's terrible. Then Akakiri. Then Toby, then La Pinocho, then was it the twins over here? Yes, the twins. Then the Village Bride. Then top 3, you got the Elder, the Duel, and which one was it? Is it this one? And number 1, the best, the Ninth Jedi. So there you go. Like I said, I enjoyed it. It's short. You can watch it really quickly. We watched it last night. It's a fun little watch. It's fast. Like I said, the longest one is 22 minutes. The shortest one is 13. I think there's a couple of 13 there. And thankfully, the shortest ones are the worst ones, at least in my humble opinion. So there you go. In case you want to watch that, I recommend it. Honestly, like I said, if you like anime, if you like Star Wars, what the hell happened? Whoa. Yep. Wrong one. Whoops. There you go. If you like anime, if you like Star Wars, you'll probably enjoy this. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario SDW on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Streaming on YouTube and on Twitch. Again, eventually I'll figure it out at Super Dario World. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.